The Shameful, Despicable Civil Rights Division of Donald Trump, they are suing 6 states because they won't turn over their voter registration data. The states being sued: California, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania. They did not turn over voter information, including name, birth dates, driver's license numbers, and partial Social Security numbers contained in their registration rolls. The DOJ claims the states are not complying with federal law, specifically the Help America Vote Act. In a statement, the Despicable Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon of the DOJ Civil Rights Division said, quotes, "States are required to safeguard American elections by complying with our federal election laws. Clean voter rolls protect American citizens from voting fraud and abuse and restore their confidence that their state's elections are conducted properly with integrity and in compliance with the law." According to the lawsuits, the Attorney General has a unique responsibility assigned by Congress to enforce the National Voter Registration Act and Help America Vote Act. The laws are designed to ensure that states have effective voter registration lists and maintenance programs. The Attorney General is also relying on the Civil Rights Act of 1960 to demand the production, inspection, and analysis of the statewide voter registration list. Let's go to my panel: Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University; Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University School of Foreign Service; Zabora G., DEIA Consultant and Employment Specialist. Greg, we know what's going on here. These white supremacists, they want to advance this notion that folks, the undocumented workers, are voting. And so we know what's going on there. And we know also they are targeting black folks. They have been purging folks from the rolls. The Supreme Court allowed that to happen in that shameful decision after that white man in Ohio sued them. And so I get what these states are doing. They don't trust this Trump Department of Justice because these people will do all they can to rig elections.
That's absolutely right, Roland. As we know, I mean, this is, at this point, it's a beautiful thing, really, to see them drop all pretenses. Their Orange King, clearly mentally unwell, has dropped all pretenses. He's replacing attorneys in the Department of Justice, interfering directly with attempts to prosecute everybody from Adam Schiff to Letitia James. And in this case, his absolutely feckless, thoroughly unqualified toady, Pam Bondi, is simply complying with the wishes not only of her Orange King, but of the rest of the white nationalists who have taken over the the executive branch of the federal government. Unfortunately for them, however, election law would show us that many of the issues when it comes to elections are under the purview of the states. California's Secretary of State has raised privacy protection issues with the Department of Justice in response to these requests for voter information. We saw New Hampshire's Secretary of State telling the Justice Department in August that state law prevents him from disclosing the voter registration list. And finally, as has been the case in many of these ginned up attempts to exceed their authority, I suspect that all of these states will simply respond with, "I'll see you in court," and we'll see what the courts say. It's not as simple as asking for something like this to be turned over. It's an age-old tactic, and I suspect it's going to fail.
Zabora, again, they can't be trusted when it comes to any of this particular data, and we know what they're doing. They're on a fishing expedition. That's what they want to do.
No, definitely. We know that they've been attacking our right to vote this whole time, and it keeps getting worse. They keep going after these states that are vulnerable, and a lot of people are unaware. They don't know what to do about this. So it's not just about getting these lists. It's about disenfranchising the vote even more, making it harder for people to vote, and making sure that we are not getting our voices heard. They are redistricting. They are doing all of the things to suppress the vote and keep people from really making a difference in their communities and ensuring that the people that are not being held accountable for what we need them held accountable for. We can look at every aspect of the executive orders that are coming out. We can look at how the communities are being affected. And we know that if our vote wasn't important, they wouldn't be working overtime to ensure that this vote is continuously suppressed. We're looking at rights being violated. We're looking at new ways to implement Jim Crow level of voter suppression. And we just have to figure out how can we ensure that we are holding our elected officials accountable? How are we making sure that we are getting our communities engaged and registered to vote, and doing whatever we can do to make this person that is not doing anything the correct way or the way that it has been historically done accountable as much as we can anyway.
And let's see here, Nola, California blue, Michigan blue, Minnesota, New York, New Hampshire, you got Pennsylvania. We see what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's written on the walls, and they're doing stuff in broad daylight. We absolutely see what's going on here. I think for me, as much as we talk about this stuff, I'm eager to get to the point of what's the plan, what's the strategy. We know there's a messaging issue. We know it's a getting people to the polls issue, all other sorts of things. But I'm just really curious about what's happening on the ground to kind of like mitigate or to buttress some of these problems and to get people to the polls. How are we getting people to the polls?
Well, again, getting people to the polls is one thing, but what they want to do is they want to change these lists. We know what they're going to do. We see what they've done. You've had massive voter purges in Florida, in Georgia, in other places as well, and so that's what we see happening. And so I need people to understand this. This is why one of the things that I've often said repeatedly, that the way you counter this is, you register every single year. You register every single year. You don't even chance it. Like, hey, you know what? I moved, whatever. Again, I don't trust any of these people. But we have to be completely proactive, Greg, when it comes to responding to this, because we know exactly what they're trying to do. Listen, they can't do poll taxes anymore. They can't make us guess how many marbles are in a jar, but they sure as hell are doing the exact same thing that those folks did by making it difficult for people to vote.
That's absolutely right, Roland. And it's interesting, isn't it, when we look at the history of white nationalism in this country after the Civil War, so much of it revolves around voting. We think about the Cruikshank case, of course, where they tried to steal an election in Louisiana, where men of African descent surrounded the courthouse with rifles, trying to stop them from stealing the ballot boxes, where they conducted two separate elections. We think about, as you mentioned, the poll taxes, the white primaries, the idea that they could intimidate folk by asking the NAACP for its roles of membership, its membership roles. There's a strong whiff of that in this white nationalist foolishness. And since May, we know that this Department of Justice has sent demands to at least 35 states for copies of their statewide voter registration files, and 11 states have given them some information, but that information has been typically just the stuff that's publicly available, so no social security numbers, none of that. Indiana turned over probably the most information as far as I can remember. Certainly the Brennan Center, among others, have been tracking this. And of course, in an ominous gesture, the Department of Justice has confirmed that it's sharing what they get in terms of voter registration data with the Department of Homeland Security. They, of course, have bigger problems. Their bag man at the top probably needs to be checking his paper bags, his kava bags, for that $50,000 they're looking for. But they are indeed, to kind of underscore what you're saying, trying to intimidate people. They're trying to convey this sense that somehow they can get your information. If you're in one of the states that they have asked for this information, please understand that the court will stop them, primarily because your social security number, your information is sacrosanct, at least when it comes to this. They have no legal obligation to turn that over. Just like you said, they've sued these states, and then these states have moved right back and said no. The criminal division of the Department of Justice, which is really being weaponized at this point, has sent emails to chief election officials in at least a dozen states since June, requesting meetings to discuss an information sharing agreement. A great deal of this is bluffing. These people are bluffing. And when you punch them in the face, as we saw this week with Jimmy Kimmel, as we've seen before when it comes to universities, or for that matter, broadcast networks, except those who bend the knee, like ABC Disney last year, when you fight them, they somehow get their chest caved in and back up. And I don't think that this is going to be any different, quite frankly.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.